What are you doing in this virtual try-on space? What is the problem that you're trying to solve?
Vision became like a lot more broad, like as you're progressing towards it. Now we were helping brands to kind of enable their customers to experience the products the best way possible. So for making that happen, we had to go ahead and like train in-house models, ML models for virtual try-ons essentially.
Has roughly around 60k plus startups, either bootstrapped or funded. 80% of the startups that hit unicorn status coming out of the space prefer AWS Cloud. Like that's been one of the biggest problems in fashion, right? With 30-40% returns even on Myntra. So that's what we want to target, and that's what we want to unlock for our customers. India, specifically in the India retail, we have seen a growth of 35 to 40% in personalizing shopping. So as a customer, if I'm going to explore any website, right, I'm getting a personal experience that, what sort of personalized recommendation that particular website is showing. Hey everyone, welcome back to Genius Podcast with Shellcode. I'm Mansa. I head the data practice at Shellcode. We are a data and AI consulting partner, helping businesses and organizations scale and grow with cloud, right? So joining me today, I have two incredible women from AWS on my left who are helping and, scaling startup business within AWS ecosystem. On my right, we have two incredible founders joining us today who are building one of the most disruptive tech startups in retail space. Hi, I'm Smita Santyawada. I'm an AWS cloud sales leader, and I'm currently looking after teams that focus on early stage startup acquisition and also growing and retaining mid to late stage startups. Prior to joining AWS, I have cross-functional expertise across core engineering roles, service delivery, tech pre-sales, and making a maverick move into sales. With 11 plus years of both sales and tech pre-sales leadership experience, building high-performing teams. Excited to be here and really looking forward to this conversation.
Hello everyone, my name is Shweta. I'm part of AWS startup sales team managing North and ECVS startup. Predominantly pretty much more mature startup who are seed funded and above. My focus is to drive the revenue growth conversation and build impactful, scalable customer relationships. Thank you for having me and super excited to be a part of this. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Yash, co-founder of Aina. I take care of the product, tech, and ML at Aina. So we have lots of things going on since the Gen startup. Prior to this, I'm a 2020 IT Delhi graduate. Post that, I was in Goldman Sachs and engineering, so engineer by heart. Then post that, I was doing another startup in pet space, and I found out 2.5 years. Now it's in autopilot mode. Then for a short stint was at Zomato, and then started building Aina. Super excited to be here, and looking forward to it.
Hi all, I'm Astha. I'm the other co-founder at Aina. I look after business side for Aina. And prior to this, I was working with Razorpay, Oyo, and I started my career with consulting. And I'm a DQ grad, but always been an entrepreneur at heart. Always wanted to start something of my own. And super excited to be here and talk about my journey and about Aina.
So I think Asha, right? I was sort of going through your LinkedIn post and I've came across one interesting post where you're talking about how your parents are a little bit resistant in terms of, leaving away the work that you've been doing and, starting something new, afresh. So how does it feel, right? So how did you sort of, start with all of this? And how did you grow? How did it sort of, feel?
So I always wanted to start something of my own. And that's been since my college days. I've had a little startup with my college days as well. And I loved every second of it. Every second it was, building towards something amazing that could have such an amazing impact. And impact for us, impact for the students. And that's the feeling I always chased when I even entered my workspace, right? I started my career with consulting and I was thinking that maybe it was a startup. So, maybe I should join a startup and maybe I'll get that feeling back. And went to Oyo thinking that I'll get the feeling back. Then I went to Razorpay thinking that I'll get the feeling back. And I was like, okay, it's enough. I need to leave my job and pursue this, right? For a year. Had nothing to lose per se. And that's when I took the decision. And my parents were fully spooked that what's gotten into our daughter. Why does she want to leave her good job and, just get back to home and, start something from scratch? And I think the uncertainty that in my career that I invited, they were not very comfortable with that. And they thought that I'm not making the right move and, sitting at home, figuring out something. They were not very sure. And they were not actually sure till the time, money hit our bank account. They were not sure that how can this happen? I had to show them this, see, we've gotten seed funding. And then they were like, all right, we now, understand what you were trying to do. So it was definitely like very, very, very difficult, right? Because, when nobody is trusting, your parents were also, being a bit, but they were coming from good intentions, but sometimes they don't understand your vision. So I think trusting yourself kept me going during that time.
Amazing. I mean, great inspiration, right? So I see two founders from, different sort of background coming together and building, amazing retail tech product, right? So on the same note, right, Yash, you have been in, finance space as an industry, right? And then you have built pet care and then you have moved to retail space, right? How did that paradigm shift in terms of industry happen to you, right? Did you feel at any point that, okay, this is the way that I have to sort of go in, right? This is the best direction I have to choose in. So where did that change happen?
When you ask that, that's something which kind of like now feels surreal when I kind of like look back at it. Like nothing was planned as such. But then like a quick fact, so I did my bachelor's in textile technology, which was like in a way clothes itself. And now I'm in that same industry back again. But then like in terms of the journey, so it started with engineering at Goldman Sachs. So there the learning was that finance is something which does not give that much kick at the moment. So there and during COVID times, like as similar to ASA, like so essentially it was a time where and I felt that okay, now the learning curve is not that steep and it has kind of like become linear. And I did not have any particular financial dependence as such as well. So seemed like a good time to kind of like take some risk in life and like try out something new. Incidentally, at that time itself, I had gotten a pet and like was facing a lot of issues with his upbringing. And that's where the journey began that, okay, why not give it a shot? Let's kind of solve for these problem statement out there. And started solving that. And then that 2.5 years of journey, now looking back at it, it was trying out so many things, learning so many things out there because I just kind of like went ahead and jumped without knowing what is going to come. I did not know what is a product like. So I was an engineer at heart, right? So I did not know what are the nuances of a product, what are the nuances of like distribution, what are the nuances of business, and all the things all together. So there and like one step at a time, we were learning all those things. Learned the hard way. Now looking back at it, now going forward from there, like took the decision that okay, like let's just try out something different. Then went on to Zomato. But then, like when GenAI was booming and like all these image models were coming up, that was a time when ML started kind of like calling me back. So I had done a lot of courses in ML during my college time. So I started experimenting with lots of models, and that's where like we started brainstorming together that okay, what could be the possible and businesses or the use cases that we can build towards. And during our iterations with lots of clients out there, we came up with this that okay, like what if we help these brands out there with these problem statements? So yeah, that journey in itself was like one day at a time and like discovering new things and just going with the flow essentially. Yeah.
Great. That's great to hear. So I think, Smita, right? You are a sales leader in AWS and you work very closely with a startup ecosystem, a lot of founders, young energy, I assume probably it's very fun to work with as well. So what are the roles and responsibilities that you sort of, look at or play in this entire ecosystem, right, within AWS? And how do you sort of help startups scale and grow in their journey by incorporating tech? So how does it work?
Thanks so much for that question. The Indian startup ecosystem space, it's extremely energizing and for many reasons, but let me jot down a few. I think first is India being the third largest startup ecosystem has roughly around 60K plus startups, either bootstrapped or funded. And 80% of the startups that hit unicorn status coming out of the space prefer AWS Cloud. Apart from that, the average startup that hits unicorn status is in around 7.5 years. That makes it critical for us to actually be engaging with these founders and these organizations really early on in their journey, helping them build their first MVP, to getting them to scale across regions, to even helping them getting IPO ready, right? And my team has the unique privilege and the opportunity to help startups across early stage to mid stage to growth stage, while also establishing relationships with the startup investment community in India, particularly working very closely with university and government accelerators and incubators that we have across various states pan-India. More closely, I feel my role specifically is around 3 key areas of focus. One is strategic partnership, and that starts with coaching my own sales team to work very closely with founders, such as the ones who we have here on the podcast, helping them understand the technical and business challenges that these startups are facing, particularly in emerging areas such as AI, ML, or analytics, or even getting their on-premises workloads over to cloud for the very first time, right? And how do we orchestrate the support that these startups require especially during their early stage, through AWS partners like Shellcode that help a team like mine scale across this huge business opportunity that we have in India, across not just tier 1 cities, but also tier 2 and tier 3 cities where you have emerging startup circles that are coming up. Right? Second is growth enablement. Like, how can AWS as a player in India with the bold vision of Viksit Bharat, what do we do in the space like this, especially with startups when it comes to helping them programmatically through AWS programs, both from a business standpoint and also getting them the technical expertise that a lot of these startups require. And third is business development. The opportunity in India is huge, right? Whether it be acquisition of net new startups, growing and retaining them once they complete their journey from, say, on-premise to cloud, or even from an alternative cloud to AWS, and then getting them to a place where we are following joint go-to-market strategies that help them in their growth trajectory, much beyond just infrastructure needs, right? That's the whole picture, and I'm excited every day to wake up and, contribute directly to building a better India by empowering our builders and businesses.
Awesome. I think that's a great line to sort of end the note. So I think as you sort of lead the startups and, grow them, along with you, I think we have Shweta, right? Who sort of sees everything in action. So, works on ground with people, drives them. So Shweta, how do you sort of, see, the trends emerging in the retail tech space, right? Do you see any sort of growth in terms of technology adoption? How does it sort of look like, right?
Yeah. Excellent question, Mansa. Far, we have seen close to like 480 million of funding has been raised in the retail industry. And some of the emerging trends that we are actually looking into it, personalizing. So specifically in the India retail, we have seen a growth of 35 to 40% in personalizing shopping. So as a customer, if I'm going to explore any website, right, I'm getting a personal experience that, what sort of personalized recommendation that particular website is showing. So that impressed me a lot. Along with this, the trends that we are seeing into, that startups are using GenAI to resolve it is the conversational and the vision AI. Virtual try-ons is a trend which Aina is also doing, and they are doing great in that area. Apart from this, there are some who are trying to resolve the supply chain problems by using the GenAI. So these are some of the key trends that we are actually looking in the Indian retail as of now.
Awesome. Great. I think talking about virtual try-ons, we have Asta and Yash over here. So would you like to talk about what are you doing in this virtual try-on space? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? And we'll start from there.
Absolutely. So while we were working with a lot of fashion brands, so when we started with the problem statement of photo shoots, right? What we realized that photo shoots were expensive, messy, And it took a lot of time to, the photos that you see on your e-commerce website, there's a lot that goes behind it, right? So when we started, we wanted to automate that process and smoothen it to a level where somebody can just take a photo on like table and that's it. Like your production, like, image is ready, right? You can go live with it. So that's the vision that we started with. But while building, we realized that brands need a lot more. Photo shoot was, of course, then one area. And the other that we wanted to focus on was personalization. As Gen AI is evolving, the shopper needs are also evolving. Like you must be seeing 10-minute fashion delivery and, a lot of that is happening, right? So we thought, why not, help these brands do that more smoothly, right? Where they can give more personalization to their own customers. And that's why we thought that, we can also launch a try-on, which enables brands to give these personalization views to their customers, which help them, make the decision faster and smarter and also reduces the returns for the brand so that there is a business angle to it as well.
Awesome. Great. So I think in building this, right, have you seen any challenges? What are the challenges that you have faced? I think that's where AWS has come into picture and Shellcode has come into picture, right? So how did this start, right? What are the challenges that you have faced and how did you reach out to AWS? And what is the sort of, support that was needed?
So as Asa was mentioning, so our vision became like a lot more broad, like as you're progressing towards it. So now we were helping brands to kind of enable their customers to experience the products the best way possible.
Yeah.
So for making that happen, we had to go ahead and like train in-house models, ML models for virtual try-ons essentially. Now that serves the use cases for both photo shoots as well as the online trial rooms. Now, training these models, as everybody knows, is very much time consuming as well as infrastructure heavy. Right? We need a lot of GPUs and computer resources to be able to do that. That's like one of the major challenges, challenging areas for us. Then the other was for LLMs or for text-based things. So there are like a lot of evaluations out there in place. But then for images, there are no set evaluations which are out there which can measure that, okay, how the output is, what is the level of accuracy it has. So think of it that way. We took a garment which was placed on a table. We took a picture of it. There's a particular target human or a person who wants to try that. Now that garment is put on that person. Now, what is the accuracy level of that image? How do we define that? There are no set metrics out there right now. And that's where what we started doing was we were going ahead and generating photo shoots for the brands. Now, we are enabling that for the brands, but then how do we go ahead and measure that, okay, what we're delivering is correct or not? So we need to have like a feedback loop from there. And that's where those evaluations became like one key challenge. So these are the two major key areas where an AWS team helped us a lot. Wherein on the first part with the Shellcode team as well, like so we did an experiment wherein we started shifting our training workloads on Blackwell 200, and that helped us reduce costs by 15%. And that 15% is huge. Why? Because like that's the most significant cost component for our overall spends. Right, training is the biggest component. Then in terms of evaluations, earlier we were doing it manual, which used to take time. Now, whenever customers are going ahead and generating the photo shoots, so we are experimenting with the Lua models that, okay, going forward, we can go ahead and directly evaluate using the Lua models, said, okay, what's the accuracy level across different parameters out there? And that's where like that time for feedback seems to be going down from days to hours, and it becomes like an automated process out there.
Thanks. Yes, I think that's great insights, right? How we are sort of building this. So on that note, Smita, right? I think where he's talking about deploying the models, ensuring, the cost is reduced and, it sort of benefits the business, right? I think this is where AWS is coming into picture and helping sort of, drive or, enhance cost for customers when building technology driven businesses, right? So how do you sort of see AWS play a role in this, right? What is the fitment that you have seen over here?
Sure, absolutely. So I see a great fit for AWS, especially for startups that are building in this particular space. I think three key reasons for that. One is our ability to have powerful AI ML capabilities. that allow us for greater accuracy, which is what you have spoke about. I think apart from that is also real-time product visualization that we have made possible for Aina here, and significantly reducing both purchase uncertainty for the retailers who are using this technology, and also reducing returns, which is what Asa was speaking about. I think second is dynamic scalability, right, which is required for consistent performance that these models absolutely need, especially during peak hours or peak traffic, right? While simultaneously optimizing costs through a pay-as-you-use pricing. I think the third thing is seamless integration with e-commerce operations. A lot of these use cases that Amazon and AWS more broadly are really well fit for, whether it be about, diving into customer insights or improving inventory management or related analytics needs for such startups.
Awesome. So engaging with Aina. So how are you introduced to Aina, and how did you start discussing with them on what they do, what they're trying to solve, and, where as an AWS team, you will be helping them in sort of, enhancing their technology, right? So how did that come into picture?
Sure. So the initial discussion started with Yash only. He reached out to them, understanding what are their workloads and how their infra is running across the key platforms, including and where we could find out that Aina doesn't know much about AWS. Like they're only seeing AWS as a infra company who are into cloud computing. But there is actually much more broader areas, much more broader team who can actually help them and help them to become a unicorn someday, hopefully. So that's where the engagement started with the generic discussion. The services that they are using. What are the problems areas? So some of the key problems area that they have mentioned it out is that the cost is one of the main concerns. Because they are a growing startup, obviously they want to save every penny of what they are spending. That was the discussion we started with. Then it moved to, since they are into AI fashion modeler, they encompass like millions of images every month. So something related to that they could actually use to generate generative AI workflows for that images. And then obviously being in AWS, we went there, had a couple of discussions, so work on the cost optimization, did a detailed TCO analysis.
Sure.
So Aina basically are leveraging high compute, wherein they position them the P series, A100, H100 with the detailed cost analysis that they can save up to like 20-25% cost over there. For this, they are already leveraging, I think, B200, right? That is something working very well for us. They were able to save almost 15% of the cost increase, which is a huge. Second thing is that we started with not only restricting to the infra part, but also we actually showed them a bigger picture of, building the GTM strategies. Because they are a retail startup, we wanted actually as a next step, we are building to have a discussion with the Amazon retail team also. And then apart from this, we were, working towards getting the right specialists for them. ML specialists, AI specialists to sort of, get the right services, choose the right services for them related to their use cases. Then, of course, GTM strategies, we are working towards it. AWS Marketplace, we have an option that we are working towards it so that they can list their product on the marketplace. And most importantly, all these things, especially the implementation part, they cannot do it alone. So we wanted to have a partner in place who can help them with the implementation part, who can actually become their second hand, or I would say first hand to, help them or overload the entire work that they are doing. That's where we introduced Shellport to them, being a premium partner to AWS. Shellport is basically helping them implementing, leveraging the machine learning model in here. So this is where the Shellport is on the picture, and they are helping them deploying their ML models, working towards the cost optimization part, introducing them with all the Angular capabilities. Awesome. So, topic to which I want to hear from you, Mansa. How was your experience? What are some of that you had with them?
So I think it has been great working with Aina, right? It's been a couple of months since we have been engaging. It all started when, they have been running very large ML models hosted on machines, that are not very scalable, taking a lot of time, taking on a lot of compute, right? That's when, we have sort of coming to picture, help them that, okay, you're running a lot of ML workloads and you're in that growing phase. As you onboard more and more customers, right? Your model has to run very efficiently and seamlessly without any latencies, right? So that's where we have sort of come and, help them that, okay, we can host it on AWS, right? So it provides you all the latest GPU based processors where at low cost, very high performant. So that's where we have suggested them to sort of, host those models on AWS, help them host those models on AWS for all their training workloads, right? Now, all of that training workloads have been hosted. I think they've been working great so far. Now we have started engaging with them on other modules in terms of validation, right? This is where all the latest advancements coming into picture with AWS Nova, with all the inferentia and training models coming into picture. We are looking into evaluating on how do we sort of bring in all these things into their ecosystem and ensure they run their tech at scale, at low cost, and very efficient, performant, driving their large scale businesses as well, right? So, yeah, Yash, how was the experience in this entire process of, working?
Yeah, it was pretty seamless, I'd say. So earlier, essentially we were utilizing some other machines, but then actually code introduced us, said, okay, we could be utilizing these latest machines that are available on AWS and just quickly test those out, verify how's the performance to cost ratio out there. And that's where we quickly figured out that it's giving us significant cost reduction in terms of 15% cost reduction, right? So we started shifting training load onto those particular machines out there. And in general as well, so actually code team has been very, very proactive, in general, that, okay, how can we go ahead and pick out these particular different modules and go ahead and optimize those particular things as well. Started training, now looking at our right now production use cases there and all the interesting things happening. So how can we go ahead and optimize those things as well? So it's been a good experience. Looking forward to continuing it. Yeah.
Much good that, yes. And I know, Asa, we've been live with this project for a little while now.
So we started off with the use case of photo shoots where, and we help the brands to portray their products in the best possible way. And now going forward, we are very excited about the second use case where, and we see that, okay, there are trial rooms in the offline stores. The customers can go ahead and try out those products before buying them. But that is something which is completely missing in the online scenario right now. And that's where the models that we're training is enabling the key use case of online trial rooms. Now, going forward, all of the e-com stores, online ones, will be having online trial rooms as well. And that's something which we see that, okay, is going to kind of change the fashion.
And Asa, how does this translate to how you're planning for business expansion over the course of the next 18 to 24 months?
Absolutely. We see this as the next big thing in online shopping and for e-commerce, right? I think there has been a lot of levers in e-commerce, right? Fast checkout, mobile speed being very optimized, right? To enhance the experience for the customer. Mm-hmm. We really feel that, virtual try-ons and online trial room is significantly going to change the industry, right? Where shoppers like you and me can try before buying it, right? And get that confidence, how this looks on my skin, how this looks on my body. This is what we want to solve for and give the customer more and more confidence by their buy. And for our customers, it's like that, they're reducing on their RTOs, right? That's been one of the biggest problems in fashion, right? With 30-40% returns, even on Myntra. Mm-hmm. So that's what we want to target. And that's what we want to unlock for our customers. So we work with brands like Aditya Birla, Reliance, right? And we are already live with a lot of them, right? Peter England, Van Heusen, Indian Garage, right? So we want to enable our customers to, get access to this technology so that, we can give back to the customers.
It makes brilliant sense. And those are some excellent brands to be had.
Thank you so much.
And it underscores the promise that Aina holds for you in the future.
Thank you so much.
This has been a great conversation, wonderful conversation, and amazing insights on the table, right? But very curious to sort of understand how did this all start, right? How did you guys meet? how did you come up with an idea of Aina, being starting from a virtual try-on to, where you are and what are the platforms that you're building? How did this entire thing came into play, right?
Absolutely. So I'd left my job early, very early because I wanted to build something. I knew my strengths was sales and business side of things. And I was looking for somebody who can build the tech. I've always believed in, splitting the responsibilities and one person building and the other person selling. So that's when I met Yash through some common friends. He was also looking for a co-founder. And we started, exploring a lot of ideas together, from very dumb ones which did not have any commercial use to building Aina. It's been quite serendipitous. We were actually talking to some fashion manufacturers and we were pitching them some very different idea. And Yash was building a side app, right? Because when you both are unemployed, you're looking for ways to also make money. So, so the app was basically you can put in like 10, 15 images of yourself and prompt it out and say that, say for example, us for sitting on a beach and drinking pina colada. So, and we happened to, show that to the manufacturer that we were talking to. And he said, hey, can you put my cloth somewhere in this? And that actually became the V1 of Aina, which was sort of a virtual try-on sort of a thing. And I was the first test subject on that. Then, it evolved into, can you do like photo shoots to this as well, right? Can you like have a different model with different ethnicities and different backgrounds to improve CTRs? And that's how Aina basically started.
Oh, that's amazing and great to hear, right? As I feel this has come so beautifully well, starting from where you are and to building Aina and, growing at scale, amazing. So on that note, Yash, right? I think today with Gen AI coming into picture and tech evolving like super quick day in and day out, we see new things coming into picture, right? How do you see retail picking up that trend, right? So, and how is it sort of, following the technology and, leading that chatter up over there, right? So, how do you see that growth?
Yeah. So retail tech especially. So in retail space, it had been like for the last around like 8 to 10 years, it had been like a constant thing wherein like it was simply like listing out your products, people coming to your website, buying those things, and like that was a major workflow out there. But then like with Gen AI coming into the picture, like there were new concepts which started becoming possible, like which started off as experimental concepts, starting with the photo shoots that, okay, you can tell your brand story the way you want. Till now, you had to kind of like go ahead and figure out the right models, right backgrounds, and all of those things, which used to be very difficult as well as a time-taking, expensive process. But now, with AI, with Gen AI diffusion models, it has started becoming possible that you can tell your brand story the way you want. Then, in addition to that, the concept of online trial rooms also started becoming possible. So it all started off with as experimental concepts where we started pitching these two brands, and then slowly, steadily, now we're in a zone where they have started becoming like productionizable use cases, and now we are going live with these brands out there with all of these use cases out there. So we can see that trend of those experimental concepts becoming production ready, scalable businesses. And going forward, we see like it has like a major trend shifting that is going to happen, wherein going forward, what will happen is we right now see that, okay, online trial rooms will become possible. So that takes like a personalization or your experience better to one step up. Then going forward, as a consumer, as a user, you would be able to see how this garment fits on me as well. How would a M look on me? How would a L look on me? So that kind of like steps up your experience much more further. And then we see a trend where going forward, eventually, there would be like hyper-personalized recommendation concepts coming into the picture. So if you were to kind of like double click on that. So till now, we didn't have the data points or the data that, okay, till now we did not have data points around, okay, what a consumer or the user's body attributes are. Like what is the body dimensions they have? What is the ethnicity they are? What's the skin color and so on and so forth. But now with online trial rooms, that will become possible. And then as brands, they will be able to go ahead and hyper-personalize and recommend the best possible things to the consumers right then and there. So think of it that way. You're going to a particular online store right now. It's like 1,000 garments out there, but then basis your body attributes, only 50 are basically the relevant ones which are suited for you. And then out of those 50, 5 are the ones which are as per your preference. Like, okay, I like this color and so on and so forth. Right now, you have to scroll through those 1,000. But now, going forward, you'll be just shown as those 50 as the top priority ones. So that you'll be able to make faster decisions out there. So that's like a major trend that we see shifting, major trend shift that is going to happen out there. And yeah, these experimental concepts becoming more and more production ready, scalable businesses out there.
Amazing. I mean, that's great. I think probably after all of this, I look forward to great shopping experiences, probably, some of them built by Aina, right? So this is all evolutionary technology. On that note, right, Shweta, I think what Aina is building is evolutionary tech in retail, right? So what are the key takeaways and learnings you have from the interactions and all the collaborations that you had done with Aina, right? So how did that play out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was waiting for this question actually. See, I always feel that working with the entire INA team is definitely a great experience and a lot of learning. Some of the key takeaways, I feel that you should always have a holistic plan in place. You start the conversation with technical details or talking about the infra, but always end the conversation with the business growth, because that is something what the startup is looking for. I've actually started interacting with Yash and the team by keeping the founder's mindset, having the founder's mindset. Okay, they wanted to start with the cost optimization, having the, identifying the right problem statement, getting the right people, right resources in place, getting all the resources which, as a co-founder, actually looking if they are considering or identifying any cloud provider. So that was some of the key takeaway. Action in time, I think, is very, very important. Let's not, delay or wait for anything that you can't provide. Just be right there. Talk about what you have the best. And that's where we actually place Nova. I think, as Yash mentioned, that they were actually collecting the users' feedback and they were doing it manually. That's where the Nova came in place, and they reduces their workflow, basically the capturing the user feedback from days to few hours. I felt or I learned working with the INA team. But apart from this, there's a personal learning also, which I feel like, I read somewhere, and also since I've been in the ground working day and night with the startups, I found that, we have very, very less women co-founders, especially in the tech or in the GenAI space. And I read this article which says that 1 out of 8 startup has women tech leadership there. When I got to know that Astha is the other co-founder who's a woman in the tech space, it actually blown me away. And honestly, it's so good to see such inspiring and young co-founders redefining the digital age or the GenAI stories for India.
Awesome. I think it has been a lot of conversations about tech, business, product, startups, a lot, right? Switching a little bit of gears, and I'll start from the ending note that Shweta has picked up, right? So we have some incredible women sitting on both sides of me, right? So Smita over here, I think you are a leader, life coach, you have written, sheet hack, and you have written about all that 7 mantras of how to get women into tech leadership roles, right? So what's a piece of advice that you would love to sort of give away for women entering into technical leadership roles, right? Or leadership roles in general?
All right. I applaud your ability to go research on my LinkedIn page and get something that I did 6 years ago. So kudos on that. For those of our users who are tuning into this podcast and who don't know what we're talking about, 7 mantras for women in tech, both leadership and in individual contributor roles, was a piece of poetic advice that came out of my own lived experience in various different tech roles that I've had and had the opportunity to do over the course of my career. And very quickly, the 7 mantras are, fight for what you love. In my case, it was coding and a love for technology very early on and in school. Second is, when forced to choose between perfection and bravery, choose to be brave. I think a lot of that is about how women need to be risk takers to come into entrepreneurship. Third is, fight the need to be good at everything. Fourth is your career is a marathon and not a sprint. Fifth, allow yourself to evolve, to metamorphose, to push outside of your current box, get into a new box. Don't be a superwoman, instead be Iron Man. It goes deeper, but you'll have to meet me offline to unpack that one. And fifth is try to find your true north and your purpose early in life. That sort of removes a lot of the hurdles that women face. And even my favorite one out of this is the one which is your career is a marathon and not a sprint. And that is because it reframes our attitude towards what traditional success means. The fact that you need to, especially as women, push beyond wanting instant career gratification to actually shifting focus on building sustainable skills, whether it be technical skills or leadership skills that's going to keep you in the game for the long run, right? It encourages thoughtful career choices, which is extremely important considering we still have most corporates have less than 33%, if not. It encourages thoughtful career choices that builds the mindset that is required, where most corporates still have only around 33% of female employees, even lesser if you ask me. And a lot of this is because of unique challenges that women face in the corporate, right? Not having access to as many developmental opportunities or projects as maybe their male counterparts, or not having enough sponsorship from senior leadership, right? Lastly, I say this because specific to India, both young girls and women face multiple roadblocks, whether it be access to higher education when we are younger, or the marriage and motherhood penalty that a lot of us have to actually bear, really reduces our ability to be super fast in our careers, and mostly due to lack of family support or even structural support as a society, right? Not to mention the unconscious bias that a lot of women face in the corporate, and cumulatively it's a lot to deal with. And what that does is, for women in technology roles and even otherwise across industry sectors, that exponential career growth that we all are aspiring for, it may happen to us a little later in our careers, right? And so it's okay. It's okay. We're going to arrive. And I think in a large part, we have already arrived, but there's still work to be done. I think your career is a marathon and not a sprint. So be gritty, get your hands dirty. It's all right. Remain resilient. And I think whatever you do, don't back down. Back yourself up, even when there's nobody else who is doing that for you.
Amazing. I mean, thanks for all that insights. I mean, love the way you have sort of articulated it. And probably, post this, I'll come to you and ask on a lighter note, when can I start joining your life coach lessons, right?
Happy.
Yeah. So I think over here, I have another incredible, founder. I think you're building one of the disruptive tech startups in the fashion industry at this moment, right? Today, everyone wants fashion to come to your place, very easy, accessible, right? I think that's what Aina is doing, and Aina is all about, right? So, how does it feel to be that woman-centric founder and, yet where you are and, the brands that you were talking about earlier, which is Aditya Birla and, all of that, they're very hard to sort of, capture and write. So, being a woman founder, how do you see the growth, and what is the piece of advice that you want to give for women who wants to start their own startups and, be very independent and work on it?
Absolutely. I think till date it feels very surreal to me. I can't believe that, this happened. And a lot of times I feel like an imposter too. And that's the truth, right? It sometimes feel like, oh, I got lucky. But there's a lot of hard work and a lot of tears and sweat and blood that has gone to it. I remember I got married 8 months back. And I remember taking the calls from there as well. So that is what is required to, build it. And often as women, we discount ourselves, that, we got lucky, or we don't give ourselves the credit that, we deserve, right? As well as men do. right? So I think first thing is we all need to pat our backs and say that, we did great, right? And we're doing the best, maybe better than. But there's a lot of emotional things that we have to, counter to get there, right? I think I see my husband as well. It comes very naturally to men, but I think we have to work very hard, even emotionally, to get there, right? So my advice to women founder is just trust yourself. It is extremely, extremely important to trust yourself, right? I know when nobody like trusts you or sees you as weak, you need to say that, hey, I'm strong and I can do this, and the world will change. So take the first step, trust yourself, take risk. We don't take a lot of risk. We always want to be, and I don't even want to say that we are in the comfort zone because we are fighting with our brain, right? Because we feel that we don't deserve it, but we deserve everything.
There's a great podcast I was listening to with the speaker was saying that we raise our boys to be brave and we raise our girls to be perfect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We need to come out of that mindset of being perfect, right? Because in that perfection, a lot of times we don't take the first step. So we need to take the first step.
That's it.
So and be courageous enough. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a lot of good takeaways to sort of, get for women who are going to start, probably I'd love for people to sort of, reach out to you guys saying that, oh, you're doing an amazing job after looking at this podcast, right? Awesome.
Yeah, that's why I say #SheInspires.
A great note to sort of, end this conversation. Amazing. Thanks everyone for joining in today. This has been a great conversation and, a lot of good insights on the table, right? So stay tuned for more interesting conversations in tech, Gen AI and industry-based expertise with Shellcode. Thank you.